Already? Hi. Yesterday we looked at here's New Zealand, here's Australia. Yeah? Now, China and India. We are still looking at the British Empire because it's massive. China. If you go back and look at the map of the British Empire, they don't own China, do they? They own a little piece, but they don't own China, sort of. Okay, listen. The British start selling something called opium to China. It's a drug. The Chinese, for whatever reason, are going to get crazy addicted to opium. All right. Um, Other places smoked it too. Why it took such a hold in China? I don't know. But you're going to end up with a whole bunch of opium dens. And again, other places had opium dens. Okay. You smoke it. I don't really know a lot about drugs, but you smoke it. Okay. Um, so many so many Chinese people are going to end up addicted to this that they're not going to work. They're going to opium dens where they smoke the drug and then just kind of, and they're not working. They're not farming. They're not taking care of their kids. They don't have the money to pay. It's a way of crime. Guys, China really does, as a whole, now everybody isn't smoking opium, okay? But as a whole, China really does have a problem with this drug. The government of China is like, England, we're having some issues. And we can trace these issues back to opium. Unfortunately, you guys are the ones selling it in the biggest numbers. So, can you please stop selling opium so that we can try and get a hold on our economy and our society and our country? England says, no, I don't think so. Why? We're making money. The 1800s isn't always showing England in the best light, which is weird because this is also the Victorian period. And people love Queen Victoria. That's what it is. But that being said, China asks, please quit selling this. England says, no. The idea here is, China, it's really your fault. If the Chinese people would quit buying it, well, we wouldn't sell it. Guys, that's like a drug user. Oh, I'm sorry. A drug dealer saying, if your third grade kid wouldn't buy cocaine from me, then I wouldn't sell it to him. What? Sheesh, man. Well, China declares war, sort of. And we have a series of wars. It's not just one war, the Opium Wars. I think there's three, but I could be wrong. Well, England wins easy. Okay. Best navy in the world, one of the strongest countries in the world. A lot of Chinese are having issues with opium. England wins pretty easy. You always get something when you win a war. The loser gives you something. And China's like, oh crap, what do you want? You want our country, don't you? England's like, nah, it's too messed up. We don't want it. We just want Hong Kong. Oh, yeah. And we want extraterritorial rights too, because those are awesome. I love English history. I love English culture. I love England. This isn't very nice of them. Extraterritoriality, it's like the coolest word ever. Extraterritoriality. I just like saying it. Extraterritoriality. Extraterritoriality means I can be in your country and I don't have to follow your laws. My friends can be in your country. They don't have to follow your laws. Guys, that's not right. When you're in a foreign country, you have to follow that country's laws. And y'all, I remember this when I was like, I don't know if I think I was in junior high. I mean, maybe ninth grade. But there was this guy in Singapore, I believe, and he was caned. Um, Sentenced to 6 strokes of a cane in Singapore for theft and vandalism. Yep, 1994. So I was ninth grade, I think, or sophomore, whatever. Guys, this guy was in Singapore. He's American. Okay, he steals something, vandalizes something. If I remember right, I guess I could read the whole story, but I'm not going to. I think it was like gum or something. I don't know, something stupid. And he gets arrested. And in America, it's something stupid. It's like, no big deal. It's still vandalism. I know. But it's not like I don't know, whatever. Um, However, he gets arrested because whatever he did was against the law in their country. And his punishment is to be caned 6 times, according to that. That means they a big old giant stick and they beat you with it 6 times. Okay, America threw a fit. As a kid, like I guess I was a freshman or sophomore, I didn't understand. And I was like, how dare they cane him? They can't do that. Yeah, they can. As an adult, unfortunately, you get to where you're not quite as cool anymore. And you kind of understand stuff. Guys, if you break a law in another country, you broke the law. When we were in Germany, we had to follow German laws. When I was in the Czech Republic, I had to follow Czech laws. Um, Whatever country you're in, you got to follow their laws. But I'm American. So, sweet angels, extraterritorial rights say you don't have to follow the laws at all. Is that right to do to another country? I don't know. Some of you will think it is, some of you won't. England also says we want Hong Kong. We want the port of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was like this huge trade center, still is, but this huge trade center, it's right here. Okay. And they say we want it for 100 years. Stuff that happened in history affects the modern era. Look, because I didn't understand this when I was in school either. When I was in college, right here. When I was in college, I was seeing on the news a bunch of Chinese people begging England, begging them to not leave Hong Kong. I was like, what? Why is England in Hong Kong? And then I learned this. Guys, they got control of Hong Kong for 100 years. Well, That means that in 1997, England had to give Hong Kong back to China. And see, a lot of the young people in Hong Kong at that, like in 1997, were like, no, we don't want to go back to China because if we go back to China, we're going to a communist country. But if we stay in Hong Kong, which is part of England, we're good. Hong Kong is still kind of weird today. I don't really understand everything about it right now because I haven't really looked it up recently. But guys, stuff that happened 100 years ago in the 1800s. This was my lifetime. I graduated school in 1996. I was a freshman in college, watching the news going, the English own Hong Kong? What? It wasn't until I was a senior in college when I went, oh, cool. I didn't realize. Stuff in history affects you today. It does. That being said, they don't have ownership of China. They do own Hong Kong. They do have extraterritorial rights. They can go in and out, and so can their allies. So that means like us and France, okay? Um, they do control China economically, though. They are still selling opium. They did still have a hold. They didn't own China, but China was definitely in their sphere of influence. They had influence over China. Absolutely. And there's a lot of Chinese that are like, oh, heck no, get the crap out. There's a huge rebellion. It's called the Boxer Rebellion right here. Huge, unsuccessful rebellion to try and kick the French, the English out of China. I can't remember the date. Is it right at 1900? Dang, I'm good. Right there. Boxer Rebellion. Um, this group of young Chinese, I mean, not like kids, but like teenagers and college age kids, get together and try to kick England out. They're unsuccessful. Again, you're fighting the strongest military, the strongest navy in the world, the biggest empire in the world. You're not going to win. Unfortunately, the Chinese deaths, pretty massive. That's almost the whole city of Midland. We're at like 120,000 or something. That's almost the whole city of Midland dying. Just Chinese, by the way. So whereas England might have a decent relationship in Canada or, other places, China, they don't look so nice. India, they don't look so nice either. In India, the English take over India and start mining big time. In fact, India is such a big deal to England that it's called the jewel in the crown. Queen Victoria is like the Queen of England at this point, and they say that all of the jewels in her crown came from India. They have a lot of precious stones there. Okay. They also have really good farmland there. There's also mining there, just a lot of resources. So England starts doing what they do. They start getting natural resources. They are industrializing India as well. They're taking telegraph wires and they're taking choo-choo trains and all the industrial stuff too. So that's good too, right? Or that's good. But there's also some negative, okay? At first, they start out working with India pretty well. It's called indirect rule. They don't have total control over India. Okay? And then something happens. There's a group of Indians who are allowed Oh, I guess I didn't have a picture of it. I thought I had a picture of the Sepoy. Okay, well, that's fine. There's a group of Indians, here we go, called the Sepoy. Sepoy, right here. The Sepoy are Indian men. They're Indian, they're not English. They're Indian men who are allowed to be a part of the British military. That's cool. You aren't like just putting on British stuff. Like, you're still Indian, but you're part of this regiment that's like the best of the best. Yeah. Part of the British Empire. There's a problem. These rumors start circulating. The guns at this time, the barrel of the gun had to be greased so that the bullet would slide out of it faster. Okay? They greased it typically with fat, animal fat. Well, Indians. The Sepoy are Indians. Most most Indians are Hindu. And in Hinduism, there's a lot of sacred animals. Remember we talked about the cow? There's a lot of sacred animals, okay? There's a rumor that certain animals are being used, their fat is being used to grease the barrel of the gun. And that's against the Hindu religion. The English say, no, we're not doing that. We're using this kind of animal, not this sacred one. Guys, we don't know what animal they were using, okay? I've never heard that we know. Regardless, the Sepoy believe that they're using sacred animals, and they're like, you gotta go. So the Sepoy rise up, and this is a huge rebellion against the English. I mean, they've been trained by the English. They know how to fight. Of course, though, you know England's gonna win, okay? It's not that the Sepoy can't fight. They're the best of the best as far as India goes. But there's not enough of them. The numbers game, they can't win it. The English win, and then England comes down hard on India. They're not nice to India anymore. They're going to make working days incredibly long. They're going to make the production, like what is expected of you to produce, incredibly high. They go from treating India fairly okay to totally exploiting it because of the Sepoy Mutiny. Okay? Well, one of the good things that they do for India is they start opening up some schools, some British schools. It's a whole white man's burden idea. We gotta educate you the British way. Guys, they open these schools for the Aryan Indians. Remember the Aryans, the top of society, okay? And these boys are taught European stuff. Then they can physically go to England and go to English colleges. The boys who get to go to these schools, they're gonna look very British. This is a young Indian man. Boy, man, whatever. But he looks very British. He was in one of these schools and he gets to go to England to go to university if he wants. Cool. You know this young man. When he was in college in England, he studied law. Oops. I think it's funny that England trained him and then he turned against them. I know I'm a demon, but I think it's funny. Where's my arrow? There it is. That's him. Once he is in England, he has finished studying law at university and he's a lawyer. Mohandas Gandhi. Guys, you should have talked about Gandhi last year. Okay, this all should just be like, oh, dang, it went little. This all should just be a quick review. Okay. Mohandas Gandhi. Lawyer. He knows the law. And he's looking at English law, knowing that his people are oppressed or whatever in England. But what does he do about it? I mean, how can you fight England? With the law? He notices something in the Magna Carta. No scutage nor aid. Have you heard that before? In our language, it's just no taxation without representation. And he goes to, I told you this is going to kick England in the butt over and over and over again. And he goes to him and says, hey, where's the Indian person in Parliament? Because I don't think India is represented. England's like, shut up. All right. He will end up going back home to India. This is the way you know him. I think he's so cute. So sweet looking. Such a happy smile. Friendly guy. I mean, I don't know what he was really like, but I think he looks happy and friendly. He's going to go back to India and start trying to get rid of England. It's going to take a while. He doesn't go back and throw a fit. He doesn't go back and burn buildings. He doesn't go back and murder a whole bunch of Englishmen. He goes back and starts talking to the Indians, explaining to them, England legally is like breaking her own law. And if we could just get the world to see, maybe we get somewhere. And he starts something. Well, he doesn't start it. He's not the first person to do it, but he starts doing something called non-violent resistance. Yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. did the same thing. Peaceful protest. Guys, they would do sit-ins where like all the farmers would just stop working and they would just sit right in the middle of their fields and just sit. They would meditate. Hindu, they would meditate. Okay? The English are like, get busy. What are you doing? They might kick them or hit them with the butt of their, what is it called? Gun. What do the English do? Nothing. Quiet, calm, and peace. Says a lot more to the world than violence. It does. Historically, look, it does. A lot of that stuff gets on video, on newsreels at this time. Guys, it's the 1940s. Newsreels exist. Not TV, but before a movie, you would have a newsreel. And it would show that. And this is 1947, I think. Yeah, it's after World War II, which ended in 1945. And we, America, saw that and we're like, England! We just fought Hitler, partially because of what he was doing to Jews and non-Germans. And what the heck do we see you doing to the Indians? Really? We're going to help put pressure on England. And I say us like America helps put pressure on England. Gandhi is putting pressure on England. Other places are putting pressure And eventually England says, India, you're free. Takes some time, but it happens. No country is all good or all bad. No one person is all good or all bad. One of the big things I want you to be able to do in history is always see both sides. What's the positive that can come out of imperialism? Nothing. Industrialization, that is positive. Modernization, that is positive. The education. Yeah, well, it's just English education. It's still a positive. Is there always negative as well? Yeah. And guys, the way we as human beings treat other people groups matters. It matters. The partition of Africa is next. It just infuriates me. You learned last year in ninth grade about the Rwandan genocide. One of the big reasons for things like that, that's modern. You're like, no, it's not. It was like the 19 whatevers. It's modern. One of the reasons for stuff like that is because of this right here. Some of you have heard about the genocide in the Sudan, Darfur. A big cause of that is this right here. Last year in geography, you learned about South Africa, apartheid. Oh my gosh, Nelson Mandela. My brain just died. A huge cause of that is this right here. Nelson Mandela just died a few years ago. I was standing in class teaching my last period of the day when it popped up on my phone saying Nelson Mandela died. And I was like, oh. Was he all perfect? No. Did he have some things that we as Americans go, ooh, he might not have liked us so much? Yeah. But did he do good also? Yeah. Nobody is all bad. Nobody is all good. No country is all bad. No country is all good. What's about to happen to Africa, it's not good, you guys. But could some good come out of it? Yeah. Could some terrible have occurred? It did. So just understand this time period, it's weird because so much awesome is happening with modernizing everybody, and so much terrible racist crap is happening at the same time. It's crazy. It's kind of like today. The partition of Africa is tomorrow. And then test.